said, my wife and I, when we leave, ain't nobody gonna fight over our money.
Yep.
We're not gonna leave any money and no debts. Everything is paid for.
Perfect. That's the way to do it. Okay, start. Okay, all right. Well, you know I'm really appreciative of you coming out and talking to me and to us, and then also, like I mentioned before, the foundation's goal is to use Korean War veterans' interviews for educative purposes, so that it's not the forgotten war anymore. And we feel like the legacies are best preserved when they're used, as opposed to just sort of stored and locked away. To begin, I wanted to just ask you basic information, your name, your age, and just get that on the camera. And then also just basics, and then we'll just go from, I'm not going to read from the script, but we'll just go from there. So.
You would look at you or the camera?
Me.
Okay. Well, this doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Okay. Do it.
Oh, I already did.
Oh, okay.
No. So just basic information: who you are, how old you are, where you're from.
Oh, well, if people call me John, that means that they went to school with me. When I first went to school, my oldest sister took me to school because my mama didn't speak English. Of course, my father was at work, so she took me. And I remember very distinctly that the teacher asked her, not me, does he speak English? And she said, yeah, he speaks English. What's his name? And my sister kind of like paused. And the teacher said, what does your mother call him? Oh, she calls him Juanito. Oh, she said, the teacher said, that means Johnny. We already have a Johnny. He's sitting right over there. A kid by the name of Johnny Campbell. Said, we're going to call him John. So all through school, I have my social security card, has John on it, driver's license. I got my driver's license when I was 14. I lied about my age. You have to be 17. So same thing with when you joined the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps back then would take you at 16, but your parents had to sign for you. My father wouldn't do it. So when I was 17, I went down to the recruiting station, and the sergeant there said, what do you want, kid? I said, join the Marine Corps. He said, how old are you? 17. And he cussed me from one end to the other, say, you lying, this and that. You had a deal with 14. Let me see your birth certificate. I said, well, I don't have it with me, but I have my social security card. Says, and he cussed me again. He says, you're not listening. I said, birth certificate. You got one? No, get your out of here and don't come back without a birth certificate. So I went down to the health department, filled out a card. The lady went to a room and she came in and said, no, we don't have anybody by that name. We have somebody on that date, but his name is Juan. I said, well, that's me. And then how come you got, well, that's what they call me at school. So that's when I found out that my name wasn't John, it's Juan. And I finally found a birth certificate. It even has the address where I was born. Anyway, that's come my driver's license, the school papers, and all, except the Marine Corps. That's Juan. So that's my name, Juan. Well, you call me John, that's okay. I answer to that too.
So, did you enlist here in San Antonio?
Yes, I was in high school. That was in 1938. So that means that I'll be 87 this year in November 9th. I'm 1 day older than the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps birthday is November 10th, right? Well, mine's November
birthday balls for you too.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, I was born here in San Antonio. Lived here all my life. Went to school here, etc., and so forth and so on. Except for the short time I was in California, and Japan, and Korea.
Right.
So
Well, where'd you go to boot camp?
I didn't go to boot camp. No, how I got around that, well, I didn't get around it, they put me around it. When I went and reported, see, I graduated in May of 1950. The war in Korea started in June of 1950. I was called to active duty in July. In August, we got on a train to go to California, Camp Pendleton. In August. And in September, I was fighting for the liberation of Seoul, South Korea, for the 7th Marine Regiment. And when we went to classification, they asked me a bunch of questions, this, that, and the other. And I had gone to summer encampment in 49. So when the guy got through with it, he had a whole stack of folders and got a red pencil and he put CR or a big circle. Next. And so we were talking to the guys and they said, well, what did they tell you? They didn't tell me anything. They just put a CR on my folder. Then next. You know what that means? I said, no. That means that you're combat ready. I am? Yeah. So I was in Pendleton. We sailed in August. So I guess I was there just 2-3 weeks. It wasn't long. I was with the 7th Marine Regiment and landed at Incheon. Although the 7th Regiment didn't come ashore till the 21st. The division, the 1st and 5th Regiments went ashore a week ahead of us. And the reason the 7th was late was because most of it was coming from the Med, and they got held up by a typhoon, and so we were 6 days late. So Providence helped me there. I wasn't in there with the initial brunt of the attack. And it happened again in North Korea. When we were pulled out of the lines in South Korea, put us on ships, went to North Korea. That was October. Well, it was so heavily mined that we didn't come in right away. By the time we came ashore at Wonsan, the Koreans had already occupied that area. They told me that Bob Hope was even there to welcome us to the shore. Well, I didn't get to see him or anything. I just, let's call it called administrative landing. So I didn't get shot at there either. So I was very fortunate. And I think that happened, well, you know, we all have our things. I remember when we were on the train headed from California, and I lived about 2 blocks from the railroad track. I remember going by there, and my mother and my younger brothers and sisters were out there waving at us. I'm sure she didn't see me because of the train going by, and so many of us. What happened to be on the port side, the left side where she was. And then I thought, that's the last time someone. And then I realized that she wasn't waving goodbye to us, she was giving us her blessing. That's what I believe. And to this day, I think her blessing is what sought me and my brother back because of my mother's blessing. So that's why I say I was very fortunate that I came ashore at Incheon at one time. But neither time was anybody shooting at me. That was the blessing I got from my mother. And the only thing I regret to this day, I believe that their mothers were in China and Korea that prayed for their sons. And they didn't come home because I'm probably the guy that killed them. That's what I believe. It's the only thing I regret. The whole thing. I don't know how many I killed, but had to have been my share because I'm home. And that's why I never went to boot camp, because I was combat ready. And evidently I was. I already knew how to shoot. I don't think there's a kid in Texas that doesn't know how to shoot a rifle. We all go out there and try to kill Jack or Cottontail or whatever. Mine was a single shot Remington, 22, long and short. So like I say, I guess all Texas boys know. Maybe girls do too nowadays or whatever. We know how to shoot. When I went to get my weapon, they gave me the VAR with 10 rounds and a target 50 yards. They can you hit that? I said, yeah, I can hit it. So they gave me a magazine with 10 rounds. And he said, sure, he said, well, no, wait a minute, I can't do it. How do I cock this thing? So I lined up and I pulled the trigger. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm testing the trigger. See how much pull I have on this thing before the hammer goes forward. So then I put the magazine in and lined up like the prone position. Not offhand or kneeling or whatever. So I lined up on the target and pulled it around and hit the target. It's a silhouette, not a bullseye, a silhouette. In a silhouette, they're up. And hit all 10. And the guy said, man, you're a natural VAR man. Can you fire the whole thing? I said, listen, where I come from, you don't waste bullets. You shit one out and get a kill, okay, you're doing good. We don't waste. So anyway, I was a VAR man. That man, I carried 260 rounds of ammunition. The belt, the pockets, and the warning, and the rifle. 13 magazines, 20 per magazine, 260 rounds. And an assistant to fill my magazines when we got into a fight. And I fell in love with that man. He took care of me. He was younger than me. I found out that he joined the Marine Corps at 16. He lied like that. Anyway, first time I met him, he said, where you from? I said, San Antonio. That's down in South Central Texas. I said, what? I said, told him again, I said, I don't need none of that South Central Texas crap. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. That's it. I said, but you can't do that in Texas. It's too big. I got to tell you more or less where it's at in Texas. You don't have to do that. But he was always after me. He's always trying to correct me. Anyway, he's buried in Riverside, California. So I take him whiskey and gave him a shot. He died in 91. He never took care of himself. Drink too much, smoke too much. He died kind of young. But we got along wonderful, him and I. I brought him back, he brought me back. So, take care of each other. Although he stayed longer than I did, because I was sent home. And he stayed 2 more years. So what was taking place?
Do you remember what you saw? We talked about that a little bit earlier, about what you saw in 2001 when you went back.
Oh my God.
Can you tell me the difference?
When I left, it was what some people call a cigarette economy. which means for a cigarette, you could get loaf of bread or whatever, and a beer or such. And when I went back in 2001, I didn't recognize people before we landed. It was an international airport now. Expressways, 8 lanes, 4 going, 4 coming back. Bridges. When I was there, we had one bridge across the Han to get to Kimpo and then to Seoul. When I went back, they had this magnificent airport. Very modern, highways, traffic, buildings. When I left, it was just like mud roads, just trails, whatever. I remember we had to stand watch on the north gate of Seoul. We'd come in on patrol, and that's where we camped. Now that gate is in almost the middle of downtown Seoul. It's grown so much. Very modern highways. It's just incredible. The only thing that I saw when I went back to the same was when we got to Uijianbu. And what I remember of Uijianbu is a tank battle there. And of course we were watching from the side. The infantry was on the flanks, but once they got into the salvos, we had to get them out the way. But anyway, it was practically, I remember a bridge that I saw when I was there in 50. Same thing. I think they kept that area the same to kind of remind people of what it was like. There's still your oxen there with their yoke, and everybody else have mechanized. They're not plows. Yeah, they're plows, hand plows, whatever. Everything is so modern. I'm very proud of the Korean people. They're really heavy working, industrious people, and that's why we still have a South Korea. With our help and the help of others over there, they've done a magnificent job of venturing into the world economics. And their exports and everything. It's just, they're very good people. I really fell in love with them. They're hardworking, loyal. They can never stop saying thank you to us.
What was your impression of North Korea when you got there?
Well, at that time, it was just like South Korea. I mean, there was nothing there. But the road we were on, there was barely a 2-lane highway or trail or whatever. But remember you were asking if I knew what Korea was? The first time I heard about Korea, I was in junior high school. And in geography or social studies, or they had a film. We rarely had films. But this film was like a newsreel. And they showed a real muddy road, terrible looking road, and a car, the troops walked alongside of it. And it was an open car, no top to it. And they said there were diplomats in there from North Korea coming to talk to South Korea to set up a truce or whatever. That was Korea. Well, so I knew what Korea was since junior high school. Of course, I'd never been there, but I found out. How was I to know that real soon, this was about 45 or 46, because I went to high school in 47. So I had to be 45 or 46 or so this film. So I already knew about Korea and about the war that was there. And these were Russian troops coming down. So I found out for myself in 1950, in September 50.
So since we're there, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the that movement in North Korea, which kind of leads me to my grandfather was in that mix too, and talk about Chosin and how that was a whole lot different than you not getting shot at before.
The first time I got shot at was in South Korea.
Okay.
I was during the attack. We had to take a high ground, and it was just my platoon. It wasn't a whole company. So that meant it was about 45 to 50 guys who were assaulting this ground. But we had to cross some open field, and we started receiving fire. So we got the commander hit the dirt, take cover, so down we went. And then I remember it was close to a fence, like a barbed wire fence, and I was going like this. And I said, "What the hell are you doing?" This girl was Rosie, my nickname, San Antonio Rose. So anyway, and the sergeant said, "I told you to take cover, get down." I said, "These goddamn gnats, those aren't gnats, stupid. Those are bullets going past you." And that's what it was. I never got shot at, but I found out right away what a bullet sounds like when it was going past you. You know, you see, hear it when it's coming at you, but when it's going by you. There's a big difference between that and a gnat. So, that was my first, we were going up the slope, up this hill, and Kenny Wilson, which was our rifleman, he was a real, he wanted to be first at everything. But I was supposed to be back, I had to only really right. Snap will pick you up if you don't, you're not careful. So anyway, he got hit in the head. Well, he got a glance, but he still got hit. So it sent him to the aid station. Pretty soon he'd come back. He said, "I said I was okay, my heart hit, took care of that." Well, it was more than a couple of hours. It was maybe a day or whatever when he caught up with us. But that was the first time I saw somebody get hit. That was not the first time I saw somebody dead. Because on the road going up this hill, there were some dead Marines. They were covered with canvas, some dead troops. They would go past those to go up in the assault. That kind of puts you to thinking a little bit, you know. So anyway, that was the first time I got shot at, was that fight. And there were several more after that, but the first time I really got into a big fight was in North Korea. We were advancing, and we were leading the assault. Regiment, 7th Regiment. And, but then there's always somebody in front of you. Well, it so happened I was in the front fire team, my fire team. There's 4 of us. We're going up this road. We got to a curve to the right. There was a hill on this side. Dry creek bed on this side, and the hill went up behind it on about, I'd say 50 yards, more or less. And my fire team leader said, "Stop." So we stopped, and as soon as we stopped, kaboom! The tank dug in, fired, but he couldn't bring his cannon down to our level. So we fired over our heads about 10 feet. It hit on the hills, and here comes all the rock and stuff on us. And machine guns started firing at us and all kinds of, and here comes the runner and says, "Advance, go forward, you can't stop her." I said, "We're under fire." Under my partner said, "We're under fire." There's a tank up ahead with a machine gun on the side, and there was a embankment up there with machine guns and such. Well, we were stuck out there for, must have been about, we started the attack at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would say about 9:30 or 10 o'clock when we got to the attack. Heavy fire. So heavy that they called it an aircraft. It could be strafe, a rocket, a napalm, and it was hitting By the time they came over, it was about 4 o'clock. It started to get cold. Napalm head, it felt good. Warm, you know. But we'd been out there about 6 hours. We couldn't go forward. We couldn't go back because of that curve. You try to get up, fire would come at you. They got to where they were running short of ammo. But there was you know what a bandolier is? There was a bandolier in about the middle of the road. And without telling my assistant, I got up to go get that bandolier because he was busy aware of himself. And I was firing from behind a big boulder, the side of a boulder underneath. And there was a little cover. When I came back, that cover was gone. If I hadn't gotten up to get that bandolier, I wouldn't be talking to you. Because those snipers finally found me where I was firing from. By that time, all I had was a flashlight, because I took the bipod off. That's a sure sign that that's an automatic weapon. So I threw that away. And I only fired 1 or 2 bursts, 1 or 2 rounds at a time. I didn't fire full, like half of 10 or 12 rounds. I never did that. I always fired no more than 3 at a time. But even at that, there's so many targets, you're going to use up a lot of that. The only time I did fire long bursts was when we're under ground attack, infantry coming at us. Well, then you better fire as fast as you can, you know. You don't have time to find a target. So, our lieutenant came around and said, you boys follow me. So, one at a time, we went back and this guy, Kenny Wilson, said, man, you're lucky you made it around that bend. I could see that damn bullets following you around that thing. I said, well, I'm lucky you didn't get a hold of me. Well, all of us made it back. And everybody thought we were dead. They figured out those guys, they're just gone. But no, it was lucky the way the butte was. It come up like this and it come forward this way and we were down here. So they couldn't see us. Once you came around the bend, the rest of the company went to the right flank, come back this way around the hill. Nobody from the left because there was a dry creek there. So all our troops were behind us or over. The mortars were behind down there, the other guys. And there was the Battle of Sudong. You ever read the book Chosin? That was the first heavy battle against the Chinese. When my regiment destroyed a division of Chinese, 124 Chinese division, put it out of action. However, we had help from air. We had the Corsairs coming down. And then Corsairs came down to where you could see if the guy had freckles or not. I mean, they came down low air support. There was another blessing that we had there. With those brave airmen. I still say that the reason I made it back, thank God for the Air Force. They came over to drop supplies, food, and for support from up there. I remember being down there when the Corsairs were coming in, and up higher, circling with the Air Force F-86 jets, and higher up, B-52 bombers. Of course, they were not there to support us. They were going further north to interdict the troops coming down to Chinese. But the other guys, just imagine them coming off of the carriers, the ice, the snow. I don't know how the hell they did that. How do you land an airplane with a carrier full of ice? But they did. I have a uncirculated silver dollar. This Bob Villa was a real estate guy here in San Antonio. He was in the Air Force. And he gave us support. He knew about it. He told it. He said we could come off of the carriers unload our ordnance. See you guys down in the boats. He said, I always pray, God, take care of you. I'll be back in the morning. And so we always prayed for clear skies so they could come and support us. But that was the biggest fight of Chosen that I was in Sudan. There was and I remember that because we started that fight on the 6th of November. And the Chinese finally withdrew, or left of them, on the 8th. The next day was my birthday. And we started. They let me sleep, let me have the first watch. So I could sleep all night. But we've been kind of busy after then. And I woke up, they were saying happy birthday to me. They had 19 cookies standing with a little candle on. I still have the candle. And lifesaver kind of rooms. This is what we had for breakfast. We didn't have time for breakfast. We were on the move now. But I remember that and being up on this high road, I could see down where we were fighting the Chinese in Sudan. And it was then, at that moment, that I realized I could get killed out here. It was just I was just a kid. It was like an adventure. I was 18. But I didn't realize that I was really in deep trouble. I could want to stay there. But up to that time, I did not know fear. Well, even then, I didn't learn fear, but I learned caution. Be careful. And there were other incidents where my buddy saved my bacon, pulled me out of fire. I remember there was a patrol in trouble, and they sent us out to give support, just 4 of us. And we got close to them, maybe from here to that door. But we were pinned on the far, we had to go down. And they were calling for help. So I said, I want to go. So I got up and he said, you damn Mexican, get the hell down, I'm going, you stay here. You know, that might save my life too. I don't know. But he came back dragging a Marine, wounded real bad. And we finally called on the rest of the platoon to come forward. But we were just one part, there were only 4 guys. A platoon is 47. By that time we were not 47, we were few, but a platoon is a hell of a lot more than just 4 guys. But they sent us. But we finally, what happened, we ran into a regiment of Chinese. We didn't know it at the time, but we took a prisoner. On top of that, we didn't, the other guy took a prisoner and found out that we had run into I forget what regiment of Chinese. And a regiment is 1/3 of a division. That's a heck of a lot of, for us to handle mix with. So we never went further forward than that. I saw your uncle when they came at us a full attack in Chosin. It was the 26th or 27th of November. I forget the exact date. We were in the attack because we were trying to clear this road below us for the 5th Regiment to pass there through that valley there to tie up with the 8th Army, which was to the west of us. Well, they got to that far, and that's when they met so much fire and opposition that they had to camp out there that night. And so we were in contact till about the 30th of November or the 1st of December. Day and night. There was fighting going on. But then the ridges are so huge that we could be fighting for our life here, and right over here, it's quiet, nothing going on. But over here, you got all you can handle. The night before that attack, our lieutenant, ordnance guys, and the sergeant came down talking individually. And every two guys got a case of grenades. Don't forget, I think the grenades is a 12 or 24 box. Well, we used every damn one of them that night. And I remember me and Don talking that the lieutenant had come down. You know what? I said, everybody thinks this is going to be our last battle. That night, I remember the radio man calling for artillery support. Well, we made it that night. We repulsed the attack. But the next morning, we'd been on the line for 3 or 4 days. We got called that we were going to move it out of the northwest sector to the southeast sector so we could get some rest, some food, and reorganize. We were coming down off that ridge, came down, there was a roadblock there. And my brother was there. He says, where you been? I said, you were up there? I said, we heard you guys down here. We're waiting for the Chinese to come over here. I said, but y'all held them up there. They never made it down here to us. He said, hey, guess who's with me? I said, I had no idea. Alvin, your grandfather. That he had come in. And he has now is my brother's also, but my brother was also a VA young man. He wasn't no bigger than me. Well, he's no bigger than me. He's still alive. He's older, 4 years older. Well, that's when I saw your grandfather. It's the only time I ever saw him. He was either Able Company or Baker. Able Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marine Regiment. And I was in George Company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marine Regiment. So there was, I remember saw him that morning. That's the only time I saw him. Then I saw, later on, it was in another fight on this ridge. We got overrun, but a lot of us survived and we kept on fighting. And then finally the Chinese withdrew, went down, and there was an aid station down there. And there was a truck with no cab. And sitting in there was Danny Garcia. I said, hey, Dan, what you doing? He said, well, I got shot. I got wounded. I said, you have a rifle? He says, yeah. I said, good, you can protect yourself. Well, I couldn't stop it too long. We were moving to the southeast corner. That's when I was telling you we're going to move us from. And I said, oh, you're good, keep the church and protect yourself. Oh, by the way, your grandfather gave me a can of beans. He said, you eating? I said, not lately. I said, candy, I said, chocolate. Tootsie Rolls that we had. Every time we go down the road, there'll be guys in the box handing out candy for energy, you know. But when we were going to go to the attack, our food froze. If you put it on the fire, the outside would burn and inside was still frozen. And we didn't get much food anyway, but a lot of ammunition. The guys came on the 119s and dropped the ammo to us and such. Other vitals. And so we started our fight out on December 1st or 2nd, I forget exactly. And we had to go, I think it was 14 miles from Buckaroo. That was our first fight to get to there, get to little Coterie. And we stopped there because the first regiment was down there. In Buckaroo and Coterie and Chinhouni. And that's where they blew out that bridge, Coterie. So we were held up there for thank God for the Army engineers and the Navy engineers that built that bridge. Well, that was 2 I-beams, what it was. I think they were I-beams that they put across that chasm, and it was at an angle, maybe 7 degrees or 8 degrees the most. Me and my buddy had come down from the hills, because we were in the flank, to look for food or whatever we could find. And I heard a guy call, "Hey, John." And I said, "This guy's from school. He knows me as John." And sure enough, there's a guy by the name of Roy Aguilar. And other guys, they were wounded. And they were in the truck in the back, and cases of coffee around them. He said, "Where you guys going?" I said, "Oh, we're stretching around. We got to go back up in the hills." He says, "You know how to drive a truck?" Well, he knew because right out of high school, I got a part-time job at Northern Creamery, driving a truck, special deliveries. And so he knew that I knew how to drive a truck. He says, "Our drivers left. They left us here." I said, "Why?" He said, "Oh, they said we wouldn't take a gear." Oh, I said, "Hell, I can fix that." So in the bottom you have the gearbox. You have levers. You can set it. So I set it at low gear. It started. It had low gear. I said, "Oh yeah, this thing will work." It was off the train, so I had to get down the train. And I asked permission to drive that truck. Get these wounded guys. And so I just said, "Okay, go ahead. You're done." So done. So we got in there. So I took off in low gear. I wasn't going to get a shift. All I needed was low gear. All I needed was 3 miles an hour. I wasn't going to go faster than that. So I finally got to the end of the train. The government came by. So I went to join it. And hit the brakes, no brakes. That's why they abandoned the damn truck. It didn't have brakes. So Donnie hit the handbrake. So he pulled it and it stopped it. So I said, "Well, we got brakes, we got first gear, no gear, so." And then we came to that bridge. And it was dusk by the time we got there. There was a guy lined me up. And said, "Can you take it across?" I said, "Sure, I can take it across." And they had set it to where they have enough bite or whatever you want to call it on the beams. And I got signal to come forward. And my friend had the handbrake on, so I released the brake a little bit. We started forward. That's why I say it was an angle. Otherwise, I would have to hit the gas. But they had it. It wasn't exactly level, so I coasted down. I had low gear. And thanks be to God, I made it across without falling off or anything. When I got to the bottom, there was a guy giving me a stickman that I had to take a right. Because I was going to hit a hill if I didn't. The bank. So I came down and the guy had to jump out of the way. I took a right, kept on going down. That was some ride. But we made it back. All the guys were back there. Chinhouni. And there we left the truck. Got back in our Dodge Patitas. Walked the rest of the way. we got as far as the swinging bridge. There was like sometimes even a gate down and the swings out, bumping with truck and swing. It was something like that. And there they pick us up on trucks and load us into. I always get it mixed up with hung nam or ham hung or hung nam. I can never remember which is which. One is the coast, the other was inland a little bit. Made it to there.
How long was that whole trip? Do you remember? How many miles?
It's in the book. It tells you how many miles between, and I've never really, about 78 miles.
Okay, how did it feel?
I felt great. We were going. Matter of fact, when we got to Chinhomi, we started taking off clothes. It was hot for us. It was still freezing, but that's where we came from. It wasn't as cold as 40 below zero.
Can you describe that cold at all?
You let me tell you something else. In spite of all them Chinamen trying to kill me, I was fighting a toothache. I lost a feeling, and then here I am fighting a toothache, and the guy's trying to kill me. That was a hell of a deal. But the cold, when you get so cold, that once you get below 0, 10, 20 degrees, it doesn't matter. It's just the fact is that I was young. You know, that was really, I was 19 years old, 18, 19. All we had to cover ourselves was you know what a pup tent, a shelter hat. Well, we had a shelter hat for the two of us. I had a shelter hat, he had a shelter hat. In the morning, it was as hard as this thing. Freeze. Just for our warmth, create freeze when we get a chance to. But most of the time, we just had our parkas. And I had gotten a hold of a Navy watch cap. It was great. Because I could pull that cap down below me, and it was just a rough weave. I could see through the weave. So I had my face covered. Because it's a parka. I had lost my helmet. In the scuffle, rolled down the hill. And they were in my mama's pictures. Letters that I had stuff inside. And I don't like hoodies, but I loved it then. And I had a hoodie. I had two of them. One tied to this old ring, and in there I kept extra ammo, hand grenades, candy, whatever, cigarettes. I had cigarettes in every pocket, then matches. I didn't have time to be looking for cigarettes. If I wanted a cigarette, I wanted it now. I don't want to try to find it because I had to take off your gloves. So I never did really smoke, but I did then, just for the warmth. It's cold, it's just, you cry, you tear up, or else it'll freeze. Our fire team leader, Maria Geary, he had a beard. He was always full of snow or ice, because his breath would freeze. To this day, I don't have enough hair on my face to grow a mustache or beard. I can't. In fact, I don't have any hair. That time I has the Apache blood in me. Because my grandparents on my father's side come from Chihuahua, and there's the Apache. So, but I have sons that grow up here overnight from their mama's side. And my wife's side.
When did you ship out
To Korea?
from Korea?
Oh, I got a hardship discharge, and we were back in South Korea chasing guerrillas. My father was dying, and I was soon support after him. I had two little brothers, 10 years younger. Anyway, we were outside chasing guerrillas, and one evening, a runner came up and you got a guy here by the name of Juan. I called him Rosie. Yeah. Hey, Rosie, this guy's looking for you. I went down there, was a runner from the company. He said, the Sergeant Major wants to talk to you. I thought to myself, what the hell did I get into now? So in the Marine Corps, some sergeants think they're God, they're not. The Sergeant Major is God. He runs the whole show. But anyway, I thought, man, I got to be in bad trouble. The Sergeant Major would react. So I went down, and we used to get a password, a counter sign, and then right there, they give it to you. That's for the safety of patrols going out and coming back. But we were on through a lot of those. Anyway, I'm coming down the road with a sling on, and a voice says, oh, who goes there? I gave him my name. He says, what's the password? And don't shout. And I told him, dirty. He said, come again? I said, dirty. He says, what's the counter sign? And I said, dirty water. And I heard safety go off. I said, don't shoot him. You cussed at him. He said, hey, you're a damn Marine. Get him over here. He said, where the hell did you get that password? I said, I said, well, I thought it was dirty water. And he said, no, you dumbass. Mississippi River, muddy, dirty water, muddy water, and I just got it all messed up. I thought the guy was going to shoot me. You know, come through a sentry in the dark and dusk. So I asked him when Sergeant Major stood when he told me. I went over there, reported, he said, okay, talk to you in the morning. Find some place to sleep and eat or whatever. I'll see you in the morning. So I scrounged around and found the galley, got some coffee, and all I had was spaghetti. So I ate some spaghetti and coffee. And in the morning, I reported to the Sergeant Major, and he told me that we're going stateside. So this was in February. I forget the date, but I went to Kimpo. Kimpo threw me to Izuki. I think it was Izuki. Or one of the Japanese air bases. And there they put me on a bus and on a train. Up to Yokohama. And from Yokohama, go on the train to Tokyo, go on the airplane at Haneda, to the Shemiya on the Aleutian Islands, Shemiya to Fairbanks to Seattle, and then down to San Francisco, to Treasure Island, got discharged at Treasure Island. And it was pretty neat because there was a guy that he froze. You had to take him out of the line. He lived in Oakland. And I called him. Sure enough, he was there. So I went on Liberty to go to Oakland. I was there 2 or 3 weeks. Then I got mustered out. Come home. And my father died in July. He had cancer in his stomach. He was a young man, he was 60. going back in 2001 was an experience that really, I just couldn't believe how advanced they were. Really simple, really different. I never believed it could change that much that short of time. Very good. But I never went back. In fact, when I was at Treasure Island, John Cruz, he was the guy that froze. This guy had a full head of gray hair. He was sick. He was 18. When he was 16, he said he was in a terrible accident. He almost died. Went into a coma. When he came out of his coma, his hair was white. John Cruz. Came home. And went back to work. And of course, your grandfather had they sent him to Washington, D.C., to Quantico. I think he was an instructor or something other. Danny Garcia wound up in Corpus Christi Hospital there. My brother wound up in, he got wounded, he got Corpus Christi. And that's where he mustered out in Corpus Christi. And experience.
Do you remember what was it like when you came home? You know, the scenes you get in World War II is the ticker tape parades and stuff. Was it just quiet?
No. When I come home, like I say, I came home to Treasure Island, where they try to get you back how to behave in polite company. They put us to work flower beds. Just ease you back into polite society. When I got to Japan, I couldn't sleep. It was too quiet. You get a claim, you get used to the artillery going out. And right at sundown, they fire a phosphorus round to set your compass, get your bearings, in case you go on night patrol, so you can find your way back. Oh, by the way, I was the guy that carried the compass. I was the guy that had to figure out our back answer from WP route. Remember, went on reconnaissance patrol, and I was on the right flank, next to the hillside. And for some reason, I don't know why, we were out about maybe a mile and a half. We were not going to go under the forest, just 2 miles. I had my rifle, my VAR, I always carried it here, with this hand on the magazine, and this one on the fore. I forgot what they call it. It's the fore, it's the piece that fix the barrel. And I tried to hide the magazine here. And for some reason, I swung around like this, just about this angle too, but no more than this. There was a Chinese soldier. His head, he had his weapon up here. He didn't have it pointed out. He had it horizontal. As soon as he made contact, he threw up his hands. He didn't throw up his rifles in his sling. Well, he surrendered. So I took him prisoner. And got his weapon, gave it to Don, let him carry it. And finished our patrol, brought him back. All the time he didn't fuss or anything. The prisoner got back to our line and wanted to turn him in. MP said, nah, you took him, you take care of him. He says, MP's been by in the morning to pick him up. I said, yeah, he's your prisoner. Yeah, well, you watch him. So, since we were kind of back, not too far from the line, we had fire going. And it was already dark. Which we never had fires going after dark. But we did that. And we're out of Hackett. So, I motioned him to sit down. And I started heating melt some snow. And by the way, if you melt snow, it isn't white, it's black. You think if you melt snow, it'd be clear? No, it's not. But we had our soluble coffee, which tasted terrible when it was so bad. And he had a roll, like a bed roll, about this size. And every so much of it had a cross string. And he motioned for me, like he wanted some water. I said, sure, I'll give him some water. And he took out, looked like puffed oats to mix. That's what that was his food. So then I gave him a cigarette, and just sign language. There was a reason, and then he said, I have to watch. I took my watch, and he stood there with me, of course, with me. And then, time for me to get to sleep. And I told him, lie down. I lied down. Lie down. Spent the night. In the morning, we melted snow, we made coffee, gave him some water, smelt the snow, and some coffee. And then, about an hour or so later, before we geared up to go out, MPs came to take him in. And I had his rifle, I gave it to the MP, and I told him, he started crying. He didn't want to leave me. He wanted to stay with me. Well, I guess because I treated him nice. But nope, they had for interrogation. They took him away. Just to let, I wonder what happened to him. He was young like me. In fact, they look younger. Yeah, you look at them guys, they look like 12 years old. They don't age. But it was an experience. I learned a lot of patience and caution. Take care of what you got. But that's when I saw your grandfather coming over that ridge.
You say your brother was in a foxhole with him?
Yes.
Well, that'd be interesting to talk to your brother.
Yeah, if he'll talk to you. You know what, I'll tell him. He was an able company. He talks about a guy named Graham. Well, I don't know if it was his foxhole buddy. Well, he came back. He was in Chicago, Detroit. The first guy to get killed in our platoon was this black named Forte from Detroit. A sniper killed him down in South Korea, Bijambu. That's where we got our first casualties, wounded, and first one killed. And that was him, Forte. He was a light-skinned black with blue-green eyes. Good-looking black guy. Forte.
Well, because this is going to be used for school and kids, one of the things here says, is there any message you would like to include to future generations who might watch your interview, pieces of your interview?
Well, I'm sure they've heard the saying that freedom is not free. And I guess But recently, they would come up with, no, I think it was the 50th anniversary of the Korean War. I think that's when it came out. Freedom is not free. And you learn a lot of humility also. I still say, and I believe that if I was to meet a Chinese soldier that was there when I was there, I would hug him like a brother. Because I know he suffered the same thing I suffered. It may be even more so because I remember seeing frozen Chinese soldiers where their feet were swollen so big. I just wonder if their pain when they finally thawed out, if they did. Never. Love each other, work together. Always remember that things are not as bad as you think they are. If you meet somebody that's suffered the worst. I don't hate anybody. I never had hate when I was over there. The people were trying to kill me. But they didn't know me. I didn't know them. It was just something that war is about. I don't hate anybody because when you hate somebody, they control you. You think you always have them in your mind. You can't get them out of you. I don't hate anybody. I never have and never will.
How old are you now?
Well, in November, if I lived that long, I'll be 87. November 9th, I'll be 87. I never dreamed I'd live this long. I think that God has something for me to do, and I haven't done it yet. And I don't want to find out what it is, because I believe when I do it, I'm going to die. So, I enjoy it. I love it. It's all about it. I met a lot of wonderful people when I was in the Marine Corps. I learned a lot. I'm a member of Knights of Columbus. I met a lot of wonderful gentlemen, family men, church-going men. No braggadocio, there's just fine Christian men. I'm Catholic. I don't expect everybody to be Catholic. You love God the way you love God, the way I love God, we're all different. But we're all from the same name. My sons went to Baylor University, and people have asked me, how come you said you brought to Baptist schools? I said, well, I didn't say it was Baptist schools. I saw it was good Christian school. That's where they wanted to go, so that's what they went.
What did you do after, what was your career after Marine
Oh,
Corps?
well, I took when I was in high school, I took a course in machine shop.
Okay.
And then when I went to work, I think it was either Alvin or Danny or both called me and said, hey, the civil service is hiring apprentices for apprentice shop. He said, go down there and take a test. So I did. I passed it. Long story short, I got into the machine shop program. Graduated 4-year course, and I met my wife in '56. Well, first time I went out was '56. In September of '56, we got married in August of '57. And I said, when I graduate from apprenticeship, I'll get married. I graduated in July, so I got married in August.
And who did you work for? Yourself?
Civil service.
Civil service.
I know Al Padilla, your grandfather, he had a shop. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember he worked with a guy named, last name Cox, Thomas. It was Thomas Cox.
Right, that was his boss.
Yeah. And then later on he had his own shop. And then he got real smart and went to university called McDonald's University. How to fix and sell hamburgers.
Right.
And he was very successful at that. Very successful at that. Well,
thank you very much. This was,
I never told him, but I fell in love with his wife.
Huh?
She was already married. No, Lupe and I and Al, we went to the same high school.
all the Fox Tech.
Yeah. And we all knew each other.
Did you play football at Fox Tech
Yeah.
with him?
No, we didn't go to Fox Tech.
He didn't?
No. We went to San Antonio Vocational and Technical High School.
Okay, so was Fox Tech after that?
It is Fox Tech now.
Okay.
Back when I was born in 31, that school was established in 32. I think it was 32. It was called Main Avenue High School. No, it was already there because 32 they built Thomas Jefferson. And then they named it San Antonio Vocational and Technical High School. Something like that.
Wow.
So we all knew each other. They went to different junior high schools. Like Danny went to Page Junior High, and I went to Harris Junior High. Al went to, no, he was at Harris. That's where I met Al, at Harris. He went to Collins Garden Elementary. But we all knew each other. We all grew up in, except for Danny, he lived further east of us. But Al and I lived within walking distance. Well, back then, walking distance was the top.
Grandpa lived on South
South Home.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And you live near there?
I lived about maybe a mile and a half
Okay.
from there. Danny lived a lot further. Lived on Ada.
Well, that Danny Garcia is the same Danny Garcia whose son was a dentist.
Yes.
Okay, he pulled my wisdom teeth out way
Yeah.
back when, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's a dentist.
well, both of them are dentists. The father is a dentist, or was a dentist.
Yeah, Sally was Al's cousin. And we used to have little parties. We get together and just play a lark. Play a record player and clear a room or whatever, and dance and drink Coca-Colas or whatever and have a good time. Go on picnics and such and such. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Like I was telling your wife, I had a lot of fun in school. I didn't learn much, but I had a lot of fun. I was going for a social activity. I remember this teacher wanted me to run for student council president. And there was a group of girls who were kind of snotty. So we used to attack the main building. You have to go up a flight of stairs, outside here, and go into the main hall. And I used to hang around there. And I used to go into there because my first class was in that building. So I come in there one morning, and these girls accosted me. John, what are you doing running for student council president? C- average. I said, Barbara, I'm not as smart as you. I worked hard for that C average, C- average. I'm not an A or B student. I have to study it. I'm a real slow learner, but thank God that at least I'm passing. That shut them up. They didn't go any farther now. I wasn't gonna lie. I wasn't an A or B student, but I'll tell you one thing. One semester, I decided I'm going to get straight A's and hair lips to governor. And I did. The school was so, I sent a letter to my father about me, me, a straight A student. I never did it again. I just did it that one time to prove I could do it, I guess. Like I said, I had a lot of fun in high school. And all through school for that matter.
Very good.
I've led a wonderful life. Made a lot of good friends. Your grandfather was one of them. Your grandfather, once in a while, he try to not scold me or whatever, but and I would just agree with him. And like one morning, we were at his cabin in Raymondville. Hey, let me show you something. Got his guns, set it up. True north, Janice. He says, look at the sun. He said, what does it show? The compass does it show? I said, yeah. Now, it depends where our longitude and latitude, where east is on that compass. I said, it's just because we're here, it doesn't mean we're lined up with it. So the compass says, but we're not. And other little things like that. One of the things he used to love to say is that I never pick on little guys. And one time I said, yeah, because you're so big, you pick on guys your own size. You know, he said mentally. But I caught on what he meant by that. We had a lot of fun. We used to go shoot cottontail on the old Corpus Christi Road. I had that single shot. And one day, for some stupid reason, I didn't have the safety on. We were going to cross the barbed wire fence, and Al was ahead of me. And when I came across, when I went, somehow I hit the trigger, the round went off, and missed his foot maybe about 6 or 8 inches. And I apologized, and I said, that was a stupid thing, not to have the safety. But when I was in Korea with my BAR, I never had the safety on. When I was ready to shoot that sucker, I'd cock it, and a round would come forward. Now I'm ready to fight. Because if I hit that trigger with the safety off, kill my own guys. But I never had the safety.
Did you get that single shot back when you came back? Did you still have it?
Yeah, I still pass thinking.
What was it like to have the single shot 22 from the BAR?
Oh, let me tell you about that. We were out there one day with his dad. We were out there looking for cottontail. And his dad had this old blunderbuss. And then he had tape on the damn thing. It looked terrible. And we'd been out there all morning, and he called and said, let's go on in. We're not going to. So, and I told his dad, I wanted to, you didn't find it, I wanted to hear it. Fire, I never heard of a big old shotgun like that. And I said, here, Dad, give it to me. No, let John fire it. Well, I put it up here like a 22. What a fool. He said, shoot the pear. Well, you know what pear is? Cactus. It's called pear. There's a big bunch of it. So, when it's done, I pulled the trigger. I wound up way the hell back there, up in the air, dust flying. Well, I've never fired a shotgun, let alone a big old gauge like that. I never heard his dad laugh so much. We had a lot of fun. I had a sore shoulder for a long time. And it wasn't padded, it was a wooden stock. Put a bruise on me. I should have known something when he said, no, let John do it. We had a lot of fun. And didn't hit the pear either. But you know what we used to do after that? He knew a guy that lived out there in the old Rockport Road. They had a peach orchard. But these were honey peach. Small, but real sweet. And like freestone. You could put the whole thing in and pull out the stone. Sweet embryo peaches. And his dad, when I got, he did my income tax 1 year. They showed me how. So from then on, then I went to school to learn how to do it. And I made a lot of money. People's income tax. And I went to school to learn accounting. I did bookkeeping. I did income tax. The first income tax I ever fixed was in 1968. And the name of the first client I ever had, his name was Ignac Bata. That was his name. I'll never forget. Ignac Bata. IGNACBARTA. Ignac. Bookkeeping and accounting, I started that in 75. Because this friend of mine wanted to open up a dance hall, studio combined, so people could rent out for weddings and then you take their pictures, make money there, and rent out the dance hall. I was looking for 40 years, and I finally quit. Okay, that's it, Joe. I'm retired from this jazz. I'm not going to do it anymore. Then one time, I had 12